Have you ever wondered what do you do when you just don't feel like going to the gym? You know, those days where you're feeling meh, unmotivated, just the simplest tasks, even though they're easy enough to do, you just cannot be bothered doing it. Well, in today's episode, we're going to talk about why that happens, how to overcome that, and some of my favorite tactics, tricks, and just general practices that I've used with clients over the years, and also sharing what's actually worked for some people and what's not worked for them. This episode just came off the back of, I guess, multiple clients actually. We are all human at the end of the day. I feel this. All trainers feel it. There is just a human behavior where some days you wake up and you feel meh. If you listen to Jerry's episode, which was a couple of episodes back, we were talking about this, and sometimes it's just a day, and sometimes it can last a couple of days. But over time, what you want to do is work on these tools and tactics where you can start to overcome that. In the past, we've spoken about how to get motivated, how to stay motivated. And in those episodes that we've done, we've identified that motivation as a feeling, it just doesn't last. You cannot rely on it. I mean, we've all experienced that flow state, that days where everything feels good, the music feels good, the drive to work feels good, just you're in a belter of a mood and you just think to yourself, I am unstoppable. And if only we could harness that energy and put it into everyday life. Now, the likelihood is life is like a roller coaster, so there's ups and downs, and the kind of theory behind that is, what do we do when the motivation or that unstoppable feeling hits that downward trajectory? There is things that we can do to get us back on track, and there's multiple different aspects of this that can be a wee bit complex. But what really happens, or what it really comes down to, or one of the most important foundations of staying on track, showing up, being able to show up week in, week out, is, as cheesy as it sounds, it's the goals that you set out to yourself. Like, you need to truly believe in them. They need to have a deep, purposeful meaning. It can't just be something so surface level, like, yeah, I kind of want to lose 5 pounds, or I would like to have a six pack, or want to have bigger muscles. Like, get into the roots of that, the why. Now, I'm not going to do another episode on that whole aspect. We've done multiple episodes in the past. If you just type in bulletproof mindset, goals, or how to stay motivated, you can hear the deep dives that we've done on that. I'll also leave a link below this video, so if you haven't listened to that episode, I highly recommend you go check them out. But ultimately, if you've got a strong why, a strong purpose, it makes it hard to miss. It doesn't necessarily always work. It's not exactly bulletproof, no pun intended there, but there is aspects where right now, if I'm like, so if I look back at my journey just so far, so very consistent working out, had a workout structure that also helped. I'll come on to actual practical tips at the end here. But one thing recently was the high rocks that me and Scott were doing. And some of those training days, I hate the endurance side of things. I've never been I've been the strength guy. I've been the guy that resistance trains, lifts weights, tries to build muscle. The endurance the functional part of high rocks, like, that was the learning curve for me. And I often found myself having a workout planned and thinking, I really can't be bothered doing it. So why did I push through that feeling and end up showing up anyway? Well, on one side of things, there is a skill of discipline that we all need to work towards. That motivation feeling, as I said, it comes and goes, but the discipline is a general skill. So sometimes our discipline when we're starting out is pretty low. And what we need to do is stack up evidence of behaviors of doing what you said you would do. And that's why something as simple as that morning routine, the habits that we set out to do on a day-to-day basis, if you set habits that are so far out your reach and you end up showing up day one, don't do it day two, don't do it day three, you do it day four, and then you just don't do it at all and you fall off. That re-emphasizes a part of our psychology that I can't do this. And that feeling, although it might be deeply rooted in your subconscious, that plays a part in you showing up on the days that you don't want to. So then let's flip that. Let's say one of the habits I've spoke about in the past is, like, make the habits so stupidly simple that when you write them down, you go, that's easy. I could do that, no problem, for the next 30 days. Something as simple as, right, I'm just going to check off, did I make my bed in the morning? And what that does on the flip side of things, it builds the confidence and builds those layers and structures of stacking on top of each other I said I would do something and I would do it. And that does bleed over into these other things like showing up when you can't be bothered to show up. And bear in mind, what am I, like 17, 18 years into fitness, going to the gym. There's days where I've been, or months on end where I've been absolutely dialed in, and then I've also fallen off. But all of that experience plays its part. And you need to bring it to the forefront of your mind. So circling back here, I guess, habits, the systems, the strategy, that's really what does carry you through those days when you don't feel motivated. We'll talk about actual specifics in a sec, but it's something to consider. So let's kind of, what's a general goal that some of you guys might have? It might be to feel confident in your body image. Again, get under that surface level. Like, what is it? What can you tie that to that has more meaning? It's more purposeful. So a lot of the parents that I train, like, they want to lose weight. And when I ask them why, and I get into that deeply root, or that deeper meaning, peel back the layers, it becomes, well, I just want to be a good example for my kids. Like, I want to be able to, I want to be here. I don't want getting older to suck. I want to actually feel strong, capable, and more importantly, able in the quality of life that I live. Right, okay, now we're on to something. I've trained grands and grannies as well, and there's nothing more powerful when I say to them, the days are like, I'm really, really not feeling it today. And it's like, right, you told me you wanted to be able to play with your grandkids and see them grow older. And it's like, there's a flip switched in their mind. Now, as I say this, I completely relate to a lot of you guys might be listening to this and still think to yourself, well, I feel like I've got a strong meaning. I feel like I've got a strong purpose, but there's still times where I cannot be bothered. What is going on there? And this is just part of the game. It's the hard thing that life throws at us, and it's not even that challenging, is it? Like, the workouts itself aren't that difficult. Being able to drive to the gym, these are all luxuries that we have. Being able to go out a walk or whatever it is, it's an easy thing to do. And even though we know it's easy and it's simple, we still then talk ourselves out it. And there is this psychological component as to why we have that conversation, that internal dialogue, that internal debate of, yeah, but you could just do it tomorrow. And your decision and the choices that you make there, again, it goes back to, what are you stacking in terms of behaviors of doing what you said you would do or not doing what you said you would do? And if you stack up more times not doing what you said you would do, that leads into that downward spiral, that dip in the roller coaster journey where you start losing track and falling off the wagon, I guess, if you want to call it, when it comes to your progress. Now, one thing to take away here is, regardless if that is you or not, or if you feel like you're right in the midst of that and you've wasted the last 3 months and you're not on track with the goals that you set out to do, just remember, the only way you fuck this up, the only way you truly, truly, truly fail your journey is if you stop completely. So even with you sitting there and thinking about this and listening to this podcast, you're doing good, right? You're being aware, it's at the forefront of your mind. You know what you need to do. And I'm going to help you over these next kind of 10, 15 minutes with the physical strategies that we can implement that has helped, or that can help, should I say. So yeah, that's the why, and it's so cheesy, as I said, but it's so vital, right? And I wrote down here, like, it's not just wanting abs. You need to, like, really think about, is it, what do the abs symbolize? Like, what is like, why do you want abs? Oh, because I can get more likes on social media. But why is that important to you? Well, I just feel like I'll love myself more, and you get real deep. And it's not for me to go back and forth in that conversation with you, but you get to some weird places in your brain, and you start to unpack, well, actually, I'm chasing likes on Instagram. That's not actually what I want. And you get to realize, right, okay, what is it that I'm chasing? What is it that I'm after? I'm a big believer that all of this should circle back to wanting to live the healthiest and fittest life possible for yourself, so that you can show up and do the things that you love for the people that you love. That is my I was going to say testimonial. I don't know what the word I'm looking for here, but that is my statement, my fucking mantra, if you want to call it that. And that is what help you discover on your fitness journey. And it's so hard when we live a life of scrolling and Instagram and everybody looks great and all this sort of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that becomes the byproduct of chasing some of the other things when it comes to our health and fitness. Right. So on this part of the episode, or in terms of the structure, we're kind of talking about the psychological strategies or the psychological component. As I said, it's cringy. It's not so cringy. It's a bit woo-woo because you think, how can the power of my mind dictate what I do? But ultimately, when you think about it, when you break this process down, it's your mind talking you out of doing that session, or it's that internal dialogue in that debate. So, one of the strategies that you can work on from a psychological point of view is focusing on intrinsic motivation. Okay, so this is you can't always rely on motivation, but let's think about what are some of the things that we do every day because we enjoy. So there is a show on Netflix. Some people like gaming. Some people like hanging out with their dog or whatever it is. And it's because it gives us enjoyment. It gives us a bit of a stress relief and it gives us back energy. Workouts should do that as well, right? Workouts can be modified to do that. And I really understand that if you're not someone who's used to going to the gym, this is a little bit more trickier than just saying, right, I'm going to enjoy the gym, because there's a lot of anxiety and stress around just going into the fucking gym. But for most of us who do struggle with this part, who are seasoned gym goers, this is something to pay attention to. Right. What can I do to get that enjoyment factor? One of the strategies I do here, which helps with my psychological gain, changing the phase of training I'm in, changing up the workout I'm going to do. Those things itself really make a big difference for me. Going right, I'm looking forward to getting this done, and boom, you do it. It doesn't last forever. These are, as I say, these are just strategies, but that helps kind of break through the mold and kind of start to ride the roller coaster on that wave up. Another one here that is probably more on the woo-woo side of things, visualization and positive self-talk has been shown to work. Full transparency, it's not something that is up my street, but I know a lot of people, friends, and even clients that I work with who are more in this world of the affirmation side of things and all that. And this is more of I guess it's more of a conversation that's been had to talk yourself into it. Because usually what happens when someone misses the gym session, it's all met with this negative perception. You're a failure. You're a piece of shit. You're blah, 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 blah. And there's the whole famous saying of no one regrets the workout they did. They regret the workouts they didn't. So in this sort of visualization, the positive self-talk to shift the mindset, this is really what you're doing here, is being able to go, right, actually, what does it feel like when I complete a workout? Oh, I really love that feeling. So try and tap into that, even though you feel low. It might be a low self-esteem day. It might just be a meh day. But think about, right, I know I'm going to feel good once I get that workout done. And this is where you can combine one or two. So, okay, like that workout is quite long, half it. Like, who says you can't just go in and do part of it? Spoiler alert, that is some of the strategies later on. And one of the last probably psychological strategies that I'll put in here is going to adopt a 0-day mindset, or don't miss twice sort of mindset. This is where you are always showing up and doing something. A lot of us put the gym on this high pedestal, and rightly so, right? But there's other things that we can do. And I really want you to challenge yourself that, right, okay, if I'm not going to the gym, I'm going to do X. What does that look like? That could be a 15-minute walk. It could be a 30-minute walk. It could be prepping meals. It could be making sure that you've got a whole food dinner. The list is genuinely endless there, but try and adopt that type of mindset, because that means that over time, that generally does compound. You don't see the missed workout impact at the start. You see it over a longer period of time. Just like if you are always showing up and doing something, it doesn't necessarily pay its dividends back within the first couple of months. It does in the next year, right? And if you keep showing up, again, it's back to that point. Those little layers, brick by brick, you're building that kind of undeniable proof that you're doing something for you. And this is where it ties into your why, your health, your fitness. And it's like this healthy circle of life where they're all positively feeding into each other. Okay, next one. Let's get tactical with this one. If I had to think about what is some of the things that has made the biggest game changers for clients who struggle to show up, honestly, this sounds so ridiculous. Pack your gym stuff, right? So that it's so a couple of things. If you work out in the morning, set it out the night before, have it ready to go. So it's a matter of grabbing and going. If you work out after work, take that packed gym clothes and put it in the car seat next to you. Honestly, what this is doing is helping you prep like someone who shows up. So this is the whole identity change. You might be in this cross world where you've got so much proof showing up, but then you've got the years in history of doing things that you wanted to, or doing things that you said you would do and ended up not doing it. So you're at the tipping point. You've got this, the scales are tipping and sort of balancing in the middle. So you almost need to kind of fake it till you make it at this point. But what is the question to ask yourself is, what would someone who shows up, what would they do? Right. And one of the things they do is they obviously go and they go to the workouts and that, but if you're having that med day, the stuff being there just generally makes it so much smoother, makes it less decisions, less friction. And there's a lot in this in the Atomic Habit books on how to really stick with habits that you want to see yourself doing. But changing that friction or minimizing the friction, that's just a matter of waking up and going or grabbing and going. The whole point here is making it so ridiculously easy that the hardest part becomes literally just opening the door. It doesn't become, I need to get my gym shoes, I need to fill up my water bottle, I need to make sure I've got a change of clothes, like etc. etc. It's just a matter of opening the door, like getting up, pressing the alarm. Like there's less friction, as I said. Sometimes, in fact, I've had conversations with people, they've slept in their gym clothes just to wake up and go because they go work out in the morning. Here, if you want to try whatever works for you. There is no judgment here. Okay, so that's one of the biggest changes I've seen make. There's three in total. The second one generally is music, right? We've all got our headphones and music playlists that we love. Create a playlist of bangers, right? And title it something like, I don't want to go to the gym, but I'm going to try, right? Something along the lines of, I don't want to, but I will, right? And that becomes your hype playlist. That becomes your go-to playlist that you're going to play. And might not work all the time, but 9 times out of 10, like once that music's going, you start to, like, music is a way of it. It's an expression. It's something that we connect to and we get joy and this dopamine hit from. So why do we feel mess sometimes? Sometimes it's a crappy night's sleep. It's stressors going on in everyday life. It's just the workload becomes more and more and more, that the first thing that goes is our body's ability to want to do anything else. But by working out and getting into these activities, it gives you back more energy. Music is a great one to have. Also, sometimes, like, this is a bonus tip here, but wearing or getting yourself some new clothes, that has worked for so many of my clients, guys and girls. It's not just a girl thing. Like, buying a new gym t-shirt, buying a new gym set. Like, I'm feeling myself. Like, let's get into the gym and get this done. The third one here has to be around something that I've seen more happen in the last year than I did in my early years of personal training. Personal training is obviously like, why is someone showing up to see me on a one-to-one basis but can't show up for themselves, right? That's just something that is just always been in the back of my mind, and it becomes it's things that I've started to unpack with clients over the years. One thing that can dramatically help with that is a workout buddy. Now, I'm not a huge fan of workout buddies, but this is one of the best reasons to have one, because you're borrowing someone else's motivation. Sometimes you think you're borrowing someone else's motivation and both of you are like, I really can't be bored today, but you don't want to let the other person down and you end up showing up anyway. So this is the accountability factor. It's like, how can you create accountability? Sometimes people will post on social media that they're on a X journey of whatever it is for their fitness. Some people will partner up with someone and go to the gym with someone, and others will just tell their friends and family about it. That can be that extra motivation or the extra accountability, should I say, to hold you accountable, basically. Get you in a place where you can show up and go through your day and go, right, even though I don't feel like it today, I know I'm meeting such and such later, or I know I've said to X, Y, and Z, and they'll ask me in a couple of weeks' time, how have I been getting on? I don't want to let them down because I've put it out to the world. So it's not just somebody that's like in your corner saying you got this and all that sort of stuff. It's just somebody that you can text, somebody that you can be with at the gym. Like, and like, don't get me wrong, sometimes it can just be someone who's sharing the journey with you even though you both might not be able to go to the gym together, you are just in that conversation. That's like one of the most powerful things that I do as a coach. It's like, remember your why. Like I'm having these conversations that I'm really, really not motivated to go. And it's like, well, what's happening? Like we'll come on to the physical strategies in a little sec, but do you need to change something? Like what's one of the reasons? Like, is it a time thing, or is it more of a, you just don't want to go thing? Or is it just a want to go thing? Remember one of your reasons why you wanted to do this in the first place? You told me this. Do you still feel that way? Yeah, absolutely. And you start to navigate that conversation. You can do this with friends. You don't have to work with a coach to get this experience. Like someone that you truly trust that can hold you accountable. That's like, come on, get your ass to the gym. I know you're scrolling on your phone. I know you're watching that Netflix documentary later on. So you find ways that you can start to cut through the excuses, because that's really what it comes down to. And I hate the whole I hate the blanket term of this, because everyone absolutely has justified excuses. The 20-year-old that's like, you've just not got, like, you just need to make time, versus those in their 30s, 40s and 50s or whatever who've got kids, family, whatever else going on. Like, it's not just about making time. It's about like, right, you've got an opportunity where you've said you would go to the gym at this day, at this time. What is the reason that you don't want to go? If it is a scheduling problem, a timing problem, something else has came up, then fair enough. Or is it because you're feeling that meh? You're feeling like I said I would go, but now I don't want to go. It's a feeling that I'm just unmotivated to go, and that's where you need to get into those conversations with yourself or have them with someone else. Small group PT has been such a great thing for this, right? And this is because everyone's got the similar structure. And the way that works just now for me is someone shows up on a Monday and a Wednesday. So everyone's got their two workouts. We all show up as a team. Sometimes you don't want to work out in that team. So the good thing is that you've signed up to a PT. You don't want to let your PT down or your coach down. So you go to those sessions. But throughout that, there's also, 3, 4, 5 other people are showing up to their PT. If you don't show up, you're going to fall behind. And it's a bit of a sneaky tactic, if I'm being honest, because that does help with motivation, or it's more that helps with discipline. It's like, no, right, I need to get this done. And I've even had clients, right? So this has happened recently where they've not been able to show up to the group sessions, right? And they've even said to me, can I book in with you so I don't miss that session? Like, I will pay more money to work out with you or have you PT me, because I know the rest of the group has got their workout in and I don't want to miss the day. I just can't do that time and all that other stuff. But also within that, a challenge I've gave to everyone is, look, I want everyone working out a third day. First of all, can we all commit to this? Yes. Cool. Right. You're going to your gym. You're going to your gym. You're going to your gym. This is where we start to build the practice of being able to show up without the hand-holding accountability. So without meeting someone, everyone needs to learn that skill of showing up for themselves by themselves, right? So the workout buddy side of things, as much as it's valuable and it's a great strategy to utilize, try and not to rely on it too much, if I'm being honest. It's great to overcome on those days, but what tends to happen is one workout buddy doesn't want to go to the gym, and guess what? The other person doesn't end up going. So the same thing that I found with my coaching. I was coaching. I went on holiday it was my honeymoon actually. Had my wedding, went on holiday, and 30% of my clients still worked out. 70% of them never went to the gym. And it was like, I'm all about helping these guys with their health and fitness goals. Why is 70% of them not going to the gym? And it was because we didn't work on that skill of going, here, I want you to go into the gym, even though when you're not with me. So I was just paid. It was just sessions. And there was other days I would like them to do, but more often than not, they would bring me in 3 times a week, 2 times a week, sometimes 4 times a week actually. In the small group PT side of things, I gave everyone that third day. And what helps with this is, because they're doing it in a group, they're doing it in a community, all their days are pretty much individually programmed towards them. But they know the 4 or 5 other people will be doing their day. So it makes them want to show up. And I've seen some crazy things, like everybody roughly should be doing it on a Friday, right? Everybody said they would commit to it on a Friday, should I say. And I see some of the guys and girls not doing it on the Friday. And I'm like, I wonder if they'll finish the week without doing it. So I sit back as a coach to learn and just see what happens. Where's the decision making? It gets to Saturday, and then Sunday night, it's like the rush of energy that they end up getting. It's like, I cannot go into this next week knowing that everyone's got an extra workout on top of me. And it's crazy. It's crazy. So those things, like being able to latch onto a community in a group setting or with friends, so valuable. And I think it really comes down to that, and they're inspiring consistency. You see other people showing up, and then you get to relate and debate and all that sort of stuff. Right, let's get into the main part, or I guess the last part here, which is the meat and potatoes. What is some of the best physical strategies, just like I mentioned there, of things that we can rely on? Look at this as your lazy toolbox, right? Your go-to when I feel like shit or when I feel meh, here's what I'm going to do to make sure that I do my best and show up. One of the best strategies that has worked for, I can think of 5 clients that come to mind actually, where I've said to them, I want you in the days where you don't feel like it to go to the gym. I want you to walk into the gym and at the very least, walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes, right? You've got your workout planned, you've got your resistance training, etc., etc. Do that first. And if you still don't feel like going to the gym, walk straight back out. I've said to clients, start the first exercise, do your mobility, warm up, see how things are, and then see what happens. Crazy story. I'll not out, not that it would out them anyway, but a couple of clients that have, in fact, every one of those clients that I can think of who we've done that with, 80% of the time, they've seen the workout through. There was times where even though they were in the gym and they walked through the gym doors and they started warming up for 10 minutes and then they still made the decision to go, nah, I'm just not feeling this tonight, and walked out. I have done this as well. Like I've went, right, I'm going to go into the gym. I'm going to just do one set and just see how I feel. And I do my set and I do my other set. And more often than not, like you get that, you're like, I'm already in here. Let me just fucking crack on and get through it. But there has been times where I've done those sets and like, I'm not feeling it. Something's not right. Go with your own intuition. And the hardest thing about this is if you're on your health and fitness journey and there's things that you want to get better at, your intuition is a bit skewed. It's a bit, it's going to fall more in the favour of you saying, I just missed the gym tonight than it is than going to the gym. But if you're in that gym session and you're still like, man, I'm just not feeling this tonight, cool, you've go home, like do your thing. And all of these clients I've worked with in the past, they've texted me and we've been talking. It's like, look, I went to the gym, but I had to leave. It was just too busy and I was getting overwhelmed and blah, blah, blah. And you know what I say to them? I don't go, you're a failure or whatever. I go, brilliant, I'm proud of you for going into the gym. Like that doesn't seem that, it almost seems like a waste of time from the outside looking in. But what that does to your internal beliefs and behaviors is it's so powerful, because if you can win 80% of the time, like that is drastically different, and that's going to drastically compound as the years go on. So think of all the workouts that you don't do, or all the workouts where you feel meh. You just tell yourself, look, I'm going to get into the gym and I'm going to do that strategy, what Dale said, walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes, or I'm going to start my workout and see how I feel. And if I don't like, then I can walk out. Cool, let's do it. There's actually a client where you also need to think external stress factors here. Sometimes you're not really paying attention to other things going on. Some people go through horrific amount of traumas. Like I had clients that were going through like real severe, like even breakups, I guess, if you want to call it that. And then they're still trying to show up to the gym. It's like, here, do you want to just go out and walk? Do you want to just like clear the head? Sometimes you need to pivot the exercises that you're doing. It's not that you can't be bothered working out. It's like you're so emotionally drained, mentally and physically drained from the other things, whether it's not getting the work promotion you wanted, or it's a bad breakup, or it's your kids keeping you up through the night. You need to be able to respond, respect it, and then also being able to pivot into something else that gives you that energy, that feeling of stress relief. Because if the workouts itself is causing stress, it ain't exactly a healthy way of living. Okay, so that's the easy mode workout, I guess. Let's call that one easy mode workout. 10-15 minutes of movement, no intensity required, just see what happens, right? The pivot method is also the other one, so just touched on that there. If you're not going to do the workout, or you're not going to get to the gym, what else can you do? So think about those 0 days that I mentioned earlier on. Can it be just a walk outside, put an Audible, put a podcast on, put your favourite playlist on, and see what happens there? In terms of physical strategies that I mentioned earlier, new workout clothes, your hype workout playlist, those two combinations, like the prepping your workout clothes They factor into every single one of these points, but there's still times that even though you do those three, you still met with that feeling of meh. So these are the actual strategies that have worked for many different people. Sometimes the whole make a deal with yourself is another great strategy. So a lot of us are tied up on, oh, what's Love Island? Like, I'm saying that and I've not even fucking watched a single episode. You guys who watch Love Island, you're brainwashed. And yeah, I don't understand it. But on the same hand, the same breath, I love watching anime and cartoons, right? So I'm not in a position to judge. However, when I don't know, if I'm going to relate this to myself. So my favorite anime I was watching recently, like Solo Leveling. Anyone that is in that world, you'll know what I'm talking about. This is like the Love Island, I guess, of anime. So everyone's talking about it. Every episode that's coming out week to week, there's like shock. Or it's like, oh my god, this is amazing. Blah blah blah. So sometimes you're caught in that world. It's like, oh, I just want to get home and watch that. Make a deal with yourself. Like, right, I'm not going to do that until I've done this. Right. So this is a hard one because this can also be an unhealthy behavior. But healthy and unhealthy is just how you deem it in your mind. Okay. So it's not good or bad. It's just how your perception of it. So it's a behavior, right? So adopt this behavior that before I sit down and binge watch Netflix, I'm going to make sure my meals are prepped for tomorrow, or I go to the gym, or I have at least done my walk. And you might actually use all of these strategies. There's an easy mode, you're pivoting, and then this is the one that make a deal with yourself. So that has worked for a lot of people actually. So I've asked clients like what happened on Tuesday. You said you would get a workout done and there's not one logged. Is everything all right? And it just becomes like, yeah, I just had a long day at work and I just came in, I made dinner, and I ended up just sitting down and chilling. It's like, right, cool. What can we do in that if that same day happens again? Because most likely it is, and most likely it's one of the reasons why you've maybe came off the path of health and fitness and fell into um, this I'm going to say quote unquote lazy mood or meh mood. But a lot of the times you need to hear that because the more you sit around and lie about, the less you actually want to move, and the less energy your body outputs. So you keep reinforcing that behavior. Guess what? There's a pattern that starts to arise. You will go, you'll finish from work and you'll be met with that same energy feeling. You'll be met with that same feeling of, oh, man, I'm really good today. And it's try to break that cycle. These are strategies to do to break that cycle. Okay. What's your favorite show when you're walking or biking, right? So move, like the walking pads, man. Like sometimes you're sitting on an idea. Like there was about 10 years ago, and I was like, what is everybody on treadmills for? And then as the whole step conversation came out, it's like, imagine there was just like a wee pad that you could walk on. And lo and behold, it's probably a multi-million-pound business model now. But walking pads, some people got treadmills in the house, some people got bikes in the house. Low moderate intensity is so valuable. There is a crazy statistic. Now, I'm going to absolutely butcher this, but it's in the ballpark of what I'm about to say. If you do less than 5,000 steps a day, so if you work at a desk all day, you do less than 5,000 steps a day, you have the same trajectory to your health span, or the impact on your health span, is smoking 10 to 15 cigarettes every single day, just by fucking sitting down and not moving. That to me is wild. So movement is like a silent killer, right? Movement is one of the reasons we see probably health conditions, more so joint conditions, joint pain, joint soreness. All of that can probably be attributed to the less you move, the less you're able to move, the more complications you have when you need to move, if that makes sense. So try and pair it with other aspects. So if you want to watch your favorite show, then cool. That actually is one thing I used to love doing on my bodybuilding prep, because what I had prescribed to me was like hours and hours of cardio. And I thought to myself, man, this is fucking boring, man. I'm just staring and watching about. Put a wee show in. Boom, you blink and you're like, that was easy, because you're not doing those types of activity to burn a bunch of calories. It's just because movement generally helps your health. It helps with everything. And if you don't use it, you lose it. So that's another way to think of it. Okay, the second last one here I guess I've got is changing your environment. So as I said, the clothes, the music, etc., that can all make a difference. Sometimes changing the gym. Like I work out in my fitness studio here, and one of the reasons probably why I've missed some days is just because it's the same environment. And a strategy that I've been thinking about recently was I should actually change up the gym. I actually met one of my clients at David Lloyd's the other week there, and boom, I had this newfound energy. I was like, oh, kind of want to get a workout in. And I was like, that's interesting. That came just by walking through the doors of another gym. So sometimes that can help. A new walking route, a new cycling route, a new treadmill in a different gym. Like, they're all things that can absolutely make a huge, huge difference. The last one here I've got is tracking your streak, right? So making it visible. Back to what I was saying, when you're stacking those wins and stacking those things that you're doing, you want to think to yourself, right, how consistent was I? Because if you're being more, if you're what's the word I'm looking for? If you're not being as consistent than you think, or you're just guessing, you'll never know. So last one here, one of the points I mentioned earlier on, you need to stack those small habits up to have that proof that you can do what you said you would do. But one way you need to make that very visible and clear is being able to see it visually, being able to track it. Because sometimes, like, if you don't track it, you can't measure it. So sometimes you have a habit that you're thinking, right, yeah, like, I'm trying to hit 10,000 steps every day, and you hit it once, but you maybe haven't looked back at the data. And let's say we look back in a month, you've managed to hit 10,000 step 2 days, and every other day you've been under 5. It's like, right, that ain't the right habit to have just now. So that habit not being too far out of reach. So if you know you're averaging 5,000 steps, it's like, right, why don't we try 6.5? Okay, now we're hitting 20 days out of 30 days. Cool. Can we push that to 21 days, or can we increase the target a little bit more? And then that's how you work through this progress. And it doesn't become seen as, or it's not seen as a failure. It's more seen as this positive reinforcement. It's like, yeah, I'm fucking doing well. And it becomes the next challenge, the next progressive overload, if you want to call it that. So there's probably more things that I could go into in this, but for me, that's some of the foundations of how to show up when you don't feel like showing up. And they've helped me, they've helped my clients, and hopefully they'll help you as well. Now, I know there's a lot of you guys that you'll have your own little routines and habits that work for you. Let me hear from you. Like, leave a comment below this video if you're watching on YouTube. Leave a comment on Spotify. Let me and kind of reach out on Instagram. I'll be happy to share a few. One thing I look back on, so I asked a bunch of people, what some of the things that has helped you, and some of the things that came back was the hardest part is just showing up and getting through the door. That is typically true, right? The hardest part is generally just doing it, right? It's like standing up and walking, and that's why the advice of giving you that 10 minutes, like, just be in the gym for 10 minutes, walk in the treadmill, do your stretching, maybe do your first set, see how you feel after that. 9 times out of 10, you end up finishing your workout. One of the advice was preparing the workout clothes in advance really does help eliminate excuses, because again, it comes down to less friction. Sometimes, like, motivation, so someone said, like, motivational carrots help me, and I thought they meant physical carrots, but using small like bribes. So coffee can be one. Like, not say that. I guess this comes back to the point where before I do that, I'll do this. Sometimes new gear, so new shoes, new outfit, headphones, etc. can help. Being in a group is what's helped a lot of people. So if you look at the challenges that people do across the board, this is probably a vital part, which has helped people stay consistent. However, that only keeps you consistent in that frame, right? So think about still building that habit, building that discipline, building that skill out with the relying on other motivations, relying on a challenge, relying on a group of other individuals. So that's a wrap. Actually, but see, before we wrap up, I want to highlight the point I said earlier on. You might have skipped the gym yesterday, you might have skipped it today, you might have skipped it over the last 10 days. It does not make you a failure. It doesn't make you broken. It just makes you human, right? All that is feedback, reinforcing that, here, something's not right here, or something needs to change. And if you're on this journey for life, then just hold the mirror up to yourself and think to yourself, right, what's some things that I can do? What's some things I can take away from this episode and apply that's going to help me overcome some of those hurdles, which inevitably will come up in the future. Progression is not perfect, right? There is no perfect formula for this. You will still have low days, but it's about making sure, or having this toolbox, this fallback plan, this plan B, to still being able to show up and push through with those other things. It's not about punishing you. I would actually try and discourage, like, talking to yourself as well. I know that's something kind of touched on a wee bit, but the whole negative self-talk, it doesn't work. Like, keep calling yourself fat, keep calling yourself out of shape, keep calling yourself unworthy or whatever it is. It's not a great frame of mind to me in. And the only way if you think it is, think about those people who you hang about with, and all they ever talk about is negative things, right? Everything is just, they're very pessimistic and very cynical towards anything in life. It drains you of energy. So if you're always speaking to yourself like that as well, it's going to drain you of energy. So as I said, that is a wrap. Thank you for tuning into today's episode. One of the best ways you can support me and the show is completely free, and that is by subscribing to YouTube or leaving a 5-star rating on Spotify. And as I said, you don't have to be perfect. All you need to do is keep showing up. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys on the next one.